What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hanging Heavy, the podcast where the topic can get as heavy as the host. Hopefully, your new year is going well and splendidly, because for me, it's not too bad. I can't complain. I'm still doing this fucking show, as you can tell. Hopefully, you're still listening. To any new listeners, thank you for coming. This is Hanging Heavy. I'm a stupid asshole. I appreciate you giving some time to listen to me fucking talk out of my ass. So, you know, old Desecrator, your boy. I've finally gotten this show up and running on fucking all platforms. Basically, I'm on the iTunes store or whatever the fuck, the Google Music Play Store, whatever that's fucking called. There's always the app Podbean where I'm hosted, and with that's probably the easiest way to listen to said podcast and many more of your favorite podcasts. I'm also on the YouTubes. Oh shit, and before I fucking forget, on Spotify. That's about it, actually. So yeah, there's many different ways you can listen. And I appreciate you giving it a try if this is your first go. And if this is you're a repeat offender, thank you for coming back. Now drop the soap so I can slide it in. So, new year, new us, or new me, as the saying goes, but who fucking follows their resolution after 2-3 weeks? Fucking nobody. But for me, I used to have medium length hair, and you know what? I fucking chopped that shit. Because it's time to grow up. I have an important interview coming in next month, and I want to look presentable. I'm not gonna say what it is or anything, but yeah, just know that it's good. So yeah, I went in to get my fucking my ears lowered. Is that the term? Is that I learned it on Doug? I don't fucking know if that's true or if that's even a thing. But yeah, I went to go get my fucking hair did. And it was a fucking on like the cusp of my cock. Like it was the last fucking thing I was gonna do that day, and I just decided, you know what, fuck it, let's just do it now. So I went to a local place here, and I told the lady chop off all this bullshit, and I guess she took me too fucking literal because the bitch used every tool in the fucking box to cut my hair. And when she was doing the scissor part, I was like, all right, this is cool, I can work with this length. I wanted maybe 2-3 inches length left. I used to have neon green hair, for those of you that have never met me. And I told her, just cut off all the green, and she did. I told her, if there's a little green left, it's all good. I'm gonna dye it anyway. And yeah, like I said, she did the scissor work, and I was like, oh cool, this is I can work with this. I like this. This is a good length. And before I could fucking scratch my nuts, she pulls out the clippers and fucking off the top. So fuck, it's too late to say no, and I'm not gonna stop her fucking with one piece of my head fucking clippered already. I'm not gonna go with that fucking side mohawk. So it's a little shorter than I want it to be, but you know what? It's fucking hair, bro. It'll fucking grow, dude. I know this, but I don't fucking like waiting. I'm fucking impatient. But the good thing about me is my fucking hair is thick, and it grows real quick. So, without any further ado, let's get into the show, and let's jump into what I miss kind of talking about, and let's talk about some video games. So, I wanted to talk about the future of video games. The way the industry is leaning, and by that I mean streaming. Streaming games, not much unlike the way we stream video content from YouTube or Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Fire or whatever the fuck else is out there that my poor ass can't afford. You get the gist of that statement. Gist. Jizz. Jism. So, I apologize. I'm a boy trapped in a very large man's body. Any one of those aforementioned companies are starting their own streaming services. Amazon, obviously at this point, what don't they sell? Well, shit. Not only them, but Google and other companies are reaching into cloud gaming. For those of you that are uneducated in the subject, cloud gaming is a service that provides one of two types of streaming service. Whether that be streaming the game live all at once, which takes a strong and solid internet connection for it to be smooth and fucking worth it. Or the second option, which would be file sharing, aka downloading a percentage of the game up front so the user can play without the buffer or lag. And while you play the entire content, or while you play, the entire content is downloaded in the background. The second is the smoother of the two. But besides Amazon, another company is already in the testing phase of this, is the communication juggernaut Verizon. Now, the way I see it, with these huge companies stepping into the gauntlet of gaming, it's fucking going to spur innovation like none other in the circuit. But it could also lead to a monopolization of the platform, leading to the little businesses in comparison to the fucking gigantic companies that is Amazon and Verizon. They would be crushed. Either way, nothing feels better than fucking cutting the plastic off and cracking open that physical copy and the aroma of the new game smell. So, for those of you that have played Rockstar's massive success that is Red Dead Redemption 2, then you've heard the term Pinkertons. More than enough at this point, but apparently they were and still are a real organization. They exist now as a division of the Swedish security firm Securitas AB. Rockstar has received a cease and desist letter last month ordering that they pay for the usage of the term and name Pinkerton from both the previous Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2. Well, fucking tickle my asshole. I had no clue that was a real thing. I thought it was just an exaggeration. But with the fucking money that game is still raking in, and after what GTA 5 and the online mode made, they made over $6 billion. So I'm sure they have more than enough fucking scratch to throw at these goddamn Pinkertons. So the Pinkertons said in a letter are willing to discuss a lump sum. Fucking bastards. Of course they are. So, I want to talk about content creators. And the one that kind of stood out to me that I thought was like, okay. If you don't know who if you don't know who the Pewds is, you ain't shit. And by Pewds, I mean PewDiePie, the fucking Scandinavian douchebag of the gaming world. But apparently Jack Black is taking a page out of his book, and that's correct. You heard me right. Jack Black, from the greatest band in the world, Tenacious D fame. Well, like I said, he's taking a page out of the book of 2014 gaming history, and is starting a gaming channel with his son. He plans to upload a new video every week to YouTube and claims there won't be any production other than what he and his son do themselves. I mean, if you think about it, that's a pretty badass fucking boss dad move. I'm sure he's got enough scratch to fund whatever the fuck stupidity him and his son want to do. So, fucking, that's cool. That brings me back to something I want to talk about, which I feel is my biggest passion that always seems to elude me, and that's music. I mean, I was already talking about Jack Black, and specifically Tenacious D stumbled into my head the other day when some lyrics just popped into my head, and those lyrics were from the song Wonder Boy. Tenacious D probably started out as a joke band, but they had some solid fucking music. They sure didn't fit your picture image of a rock band, but they had solid musicianship and great foundation as a band. Some people don't like Jack Black's voice, but for them, it works. And when something works, it feels right. What makes me feel right, as I've said before, I believe I have an eclectic variation in music taste. I grew up listening to 50s and 60s music, as my parents grew up in that era. So whenever I hear some sweet doo-wop or 50s rock, it just puts me into a temporary moment of bliss, like floating on a cloud or inside a bubble. It puts me at ease. Music was much more simple back then. No need for all this bullshit production, or overproduction for that matter. And back then, musicians actually had to have talent. When you hear the record, that's them playing it. There ain't no fucking Pro Tools hiding shit back then. The music was so simple, but I guess that's a reflection of the times. Things were easier then. But as simple as that music was, it's also hard to replicate. I don't think I could ever write a 50s rock and roll song or a doo-wop song. As much as I've heard and listened to it, and as well as I think I understand the sound, I have no fucking clue how I would go about writing music in that style. And that trips me out. So, fast forward to now. I recently heard a song that made me proud to be a fan of The Prodigy. The last album that I bought or even heard was Invaders Must Die. And it's a sick fucking hard-hitting Prodigy album. If you're a fan and haven't heard it, I highly recommend. But going back to recently, I randomly came across the song Time Bomb Zone. And apparently it's from their 2018 album, No Tourist. And damn, I'm glad to hear they're still making fucking bangers. Check it out if you're interested. Interesting that I mentioned Invaders Must Die, but there's this fucking instrument virtuoso, and I say that with mad respect because he did an acoustic cover of the title song from Invaders Must Die. His name is Luca Strigagnoli. Just search in the YouTube search bar for The Prodigy on an acoustic guitar. And the artist, again, is Luca Strigagnoli. The video's simple. It's a man walking in between shipping containers with an acoustic guitar. But the composition of the song is not so simple. If you want to stop the podcast right now and go watch and come back, comment what the fuck you thought. I also recommend his Iron Maiden cover. Woo! Fuck me. I give up as a musician. So there's been a breach. A massive breach of emails and passwords. 773 million emails and 21 million passwords to be exact. Concerned if you're on that long list? Well, if you frequented the site, have I been pawned? Lame as fuck hacker site. Well, you might just be as dumb as the name. Security researchers found that a massive file had been downloaded from their site and uploaded to other hacker sites. So regularly update your passwords. And if you're a simpleton that tends to forget their shit, write it down in a private little logbook. Or you know what? There's an app for that. Until that shit gets hacked too. That's why you can never beat analog, aka paper and pencil. Keep that shit hidden though, because there's always those sneaky snakes. So, are you like me and think condoms are an ancient technology that needs to be replaced with the sci-fi shit we deserve in almost the year 2020? Well, for all my lady listeners, that's like 2, researchers have devised a new technology, fucking lucky you, that will allow women to self-administer long-acting contraceptives in a matter of seconds. Right now, the most common form of birth control is the pill, with more than 28% of women using it today. So, the tech that they quote-unquote invented is actually something they've been working on, and it is called a microneedle skin patch. Yikes. They've been using these patches for administering certain vaccines, so it's not new, but the way they're going to use it will be. Want to know how it works? Well, let me tell you. So this microneedle is supposed to be layered with a bubble to keep it safe. Yet, the needle is weak enough to snap upon shifting the patch. So, you see where this is going. You press said microneedle into the skin and shift the patch, breaking the needle. It remains under the skin to continually pump the hormone levonorgestrel, I'm not going to say that again, which will then disrupt a woman's cycle and allow you to get nutted in on a constant but safe pregnancy worry-free basis. Get deep in them guts and bust a nut. Sorry, but that's a hard pass for me. And lighter health discoveries. Chocolate apparently is better for your cough than cough syrup. New studies have found a university in England randomly prescribed over 160 patients with either regular cough medicine or a chocolate-based medicine. And lo and behold, the takers of the chocolate juice improved more quickly than those with the actual cough medicine. Wow. The study recommended sucking on a piece of chocolate to help alleviate the symptoms of the cough. What the fuck? But diabetes is worse. So I would rather have a cough. Moving on to the deep, vast heavens up above, aka space. China has successfully grown the first ever plants on the moon. Damn, fucking Chinese Matt Damon doing work. So, seeds that were taken to the moon by China have officially sprouted, according to their space administration, making this the first time any biological matter has been grown on the surface of the moon. This experiment has and should be seen as a significant step forward toward long-term space exploration. After China finally explored the dark side of the moon, or as it is correctly known as the far side, they're making us look like chumps with our dick in our hand. But let them have it. Throw a dog a bone. So on the 20th of January, a total lunar eclipse will be visible for both North and South America during a supermoon, nonetheless. So, hoping weather is clear enough, because it should be visible even without a telescope. And it'll take place over a course of 5 hours, with peak eclipse time ranging about an hour. For us here in Texas, it'll start more or less around 8:30 p.m. with the full eclipse starting around 10:45, with max eclipse peak mode at 11:15 to around 11:45, and the complete cycle will finish around 1:50 a.m. the next morning. So it'll be a super blood moon. That's some fucking Dragon Ball Z type shit right there.
Yes, science.
Speaking of space, I was put on to a particular individual that has refueled the space nerd in me. The individual has been a beloved and ridiculed figure at the same time in the UFO community. He goes by the name Mr. Stan Romanek. If I can't get the person who led me down this rabbit hole to join, I'll save it for another time, because after watching his Netflix documentary, Extraordinary, it leaves you with more questions than answers, and I felt that was interesting. Yeah, so this is the first time I try it, so if it comes out sounding like shit, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I have a guest via satellite. And I won't say his name, but let's just call him Hek. Hek Coast. Like a bitch. No, it's a long-time friend of mine. And like I said, I'll just call him Hek. Hek Coast.
You have to do the hack. If not, it doesn't really work.
Oh, it's just Hek?
No, you have to hack it. Like,
Heck? Like that?
like if you're about to speed out some cum, trying to like hack it.
Well, I don't. Who spits it out? I keep it in. What are you talking about?
No, I mean,
Spitters or quitters, dog.
yeah.
So, I saw that documentary you told me about.
Yeah.
The one on Netflix specifically, and I did a little bit of.
What'd you think of it?
Honestly, I was believing it up until the video that he showed of the fucking peeping Tom.
Yeah.
Up until that point, I was like, I believe this guy. And then he showed that, and he was like, oh, that's fucking
Yeah, that's exactly the point. Like, the way that I was introduced to it was through that peeping Tom alien type shit. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, you know, it's obviously fake. Like, you see it and it's like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not gonna fucking believe that.
Yeah.
He is, like, he is kind of like, you know, in that fucking place where everyone's laughing at him. So I did some research and I started looking into it, and he's been doing it for like long before that video. Like he's been like documenting now all these like weird shit that has been happening to him. So either he just doesn't give a fuck and he's like willing to fucking like throw his career and his reputation away. For something that fucking stupid. Like obviously, if you see it, like you would know.
I don't know. I was kind of split on it. So he's given a lot of fucking stuff that is legitimate, but the peeping Tom bullshit, like, it looks so obviously fake that it kind of like just dismisses everything that he's talking about that could be true.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I watched it, and by the time it was over, I was like, fuck. I have more questions than I have answers about it.
Yeah.
And like,
it's a really weird case.
Like, also like, in that fucking documentary, that red light thing.
Yeah.
Like, you can clearly tell that it's not a laser, but what the fuck is it? Because like that red light, he's following it in like a tree and shit. If it was a laser beam, like the laser would get caught in all the branches and all the leaves and shit.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. I don't know, man. Like, I believe his stories up until the peeping Tom. Like I said, like that
like
video.
Some of them. Like, but that's what I'm saying is, you know, some of the ones before that are pretty legit.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, like shit, like, you know, hovering over his house or following him around and shit like that. And then you have this fucking one piece of footage that is like obviously fucking fake. Like,
yeah.
You look at it and it's like, what the fuck? Like, are you serious? Like, you know, like everything that you just said is basically just trash.
Yeah, it's fucking bullshit now because of that.
But if you think about it, like, I mean, do you like, are you really an expert to say, like, you know what the fuck, like, that is, yeah, that is fake.
Yeah,
like, that's fake, but are you actually certain that it is?
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, no one can disprove it, but at the same time, like, he doesn't have proof. I don't know. That's why, like, after I watched it, I wasn't satisfied with what they gave me, like, information wise.
Yeah.
So I looked into it more, and like, he's like fucking, they love him, but they also hate him because that shit looks like fucking the shittiest sci-fi movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But everything else that he's done besides that bullshit is pretty solid.
I think he's even like a registered like sex offender.
Well, and then yeah, the ending fucked me up, man. For those of you that plan to see it, after you watch it the very end, like, fuck, that's the reason why I get paranoid, man, because fuck, like,
you're not safe anywhere.
No, you're not. Like, people are concerned about, like, oh, the phones, they're listening to us at every moment, or fucking Alexa works with the CIA or whatever the fuck. Do you think they fucking care if you know? They could fucking destroy your whole life.
Yeah.
And like with this podcast, that's kind of like the reason why I don't do conspiracy theories, because like, what if somebody like higher up hears it, like just by the random chance, and they're like, oh, this guy's onto something. Like, he knows too much.
He knows too much.
Yeah, and that happens to a lot of people. I don't know if you know who fucking Patrice O'Neal is.
No.
He was a fucking, probably the greatest comedian to have come out.
Right.
And he started getting into conspiracy theories, and he started talking about it a lot publicly, and like how the fucking Illuminati, or like how people control the fucking media and whatever the fuck, and like he really got into it late into his life, and then all of a sudden he just fucking dies.
mysterious death.
Yeah, like he was a fat black man and he had diabetes, but like he just like his diabetes fucking took his life in like 3 months. Like it's almost scientifically uncalled for, like, or unjustified. But yeah, they just swept him under the rug pretty much. And they're kind of doing it like with Alex Jones.
There's a lot of cases like that.
Yeah,
Like it's just they're onto something, and then it's a tragic death. And it could be anything. It'd be like a car crash.
yeah. Well, that's what they
like a plane or some bullshit.
Yeah, that's like they say that happened to Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington.
Right.
Yeah, apparently like they were getting real deep into if you don't know what Pizzagate is, but apparently like a lot of the higher ups in the U.S. government are like fucking trafficking children to fuck them and shit like that, and they were gonna like expose it, and then
what the fuck?
Yeah, and like all of a sudden they just kill themselves like out of nowhere, and like exactly the same way. I don't know. That's like if the government wants to take over the world, who's gonna fucking stop them?
We're practically like halfway or more. So
I'm an advocate for guns and whatever the fuck. Like, we deserve to have gun rights and whatever. But what the fuck is your fucking pistol gonna do against automatic machine guns versus fucking nuclear weapons? Unmanned drones? Like, we have no fucking chance as a militia to stand up against the greatest fucking defense force in the world, the United States military.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
The military is pretty bullshit.
Like I like
overpowered.
If it was a video game, they would be like the cheat codes. Fuck, man.
Access to everything.
And like that's kind of the reason why I gave up chasing conspiracies, because they could fucking put my lights out tomorrow and no one would care. No one would know.
No one even noticed.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Oh, he was a fat piece of shit. He died of a heart attack." Makes sense. Yeah, it fits the book, right? Like,
people need to double check on that.
Yeah. And then like I'm fucking no one. I have like maybe 20 listeners on this stupid ass podcast. They would have no problem making me disappear.
I would care, man. I love you. You know that.
Oh, thank you, man. I know we shit on each other all the time, but yeah. When you told me that you really listen, I was kind of moved. Made me feel good. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, that other guy, I haven't looked too much into that one because I'm afraid of the government scanning my Google searches.
Yeah, no, the other one is actually a little bit more intense.
The other person was Philip Schneider.
Yeah.
And he talked a lot to Stan Romanek, or
he did a lot of seminars
with the same asshole, with that other asshole.
Which one?
With Stan Romanek, or they were just...
No. He was actually pretty long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Like, he just came out and started doing seminars, and there's a whole fucking video of like about an hour long.
Yeah, there's one on YouTube.
He talks, about a lot of stuff, right? But you can tell that like he knows what he's talking about. Like, he knows his fucking like engineering and all that shit. So, for him to be saying stuff like that is also like pretty crazy. Like, what the fuck? Like, who is this guy anyways?
Yeah.
But he is pretty legit. Like, he does seem pretty legit, and the ending to it is pretty cliche. Like, he died some mysterious death. Like, he was strangled. Apparently he had like markings on his neck, but there is no case or anything.
Yeah, they didn't look into it. Yeah, well, you sent me an article to read about him, and let me just read a little bit of it. It says Philip Schneider, an explosive engineer who worked for the U.S. government with high-level security clearance, claimed that in 1979 he participated in the building of a secret underground base in Dulce, New Mexico. It was here that a horrific battle played out, leaving 60 humans dead and countless subterranean aliens fighting for their life. So I started reading this, and the more and more that I started reading, I was like, this is complete bullshit. This is the peeping Tom. Yeah.
They're in the same alley.
Yeah, so here, look, this is the part when I started reading, and I was like, yeah, that makes fucking completely no sense. Schneider asserts that he was suspicious of the engineering operation while noticing the presence of Green Berets and Special Forces. His fears were realized when, after drilling underground, he came face to face with a 7-foot tall, stinky, gray alien. Obviously, he freaked out and grabbed a pistol he was carrying. And in parentheses, because that's what engineers do. And I read that and I was like, yeah, engineers don't fucking carry guns with them. Especially if they're guarded. They're not going to be able to have a fucking gun with them. So, yeah, you told me about this and I kind of like made my own assumptions. So, yeah, this guy was a fucking liar too.
Pretty bullshit.
I don't know, man, but at the same time, like, what can you really...
to swallow.
Yeah, like,
you know, there's like all this stuff that it doesn't really add up.
Yeah, it doesn't add up, no matter how ludicrous it is. So, I mean, who's to say they're lying? How would we know?
Usually the most ludicrous story.
Yeah.
The one that turned out to be real.
Yeah.
Nobody was expecting. Like, oh shit, like, you know, I remember him saying something about them, like, spewing, like, some beam of light. Like,
yeah, they were shooting, like, lasers or some bullshit.
Yeah, from, like, their chest or stomach or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, like, where do you get the fucking mind for this? Like, how did you...
Yeah, how, like...
What makes you think that, like, people will believe that, or that would be something that, like, a fucking alien would do?
Yeah, like, how could you create... How could you make that shit up?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean... Also, like, a lot of ufologists, they say, like, the human mind doesn't want to believe the shit that they're saying. So, like, it sounds like they're crazy. And that's true. I mean, the way that I can compare it to, like, have you ever taken psychedelic drugs?
Yeah.
When somebody asks you, like, oh, what is it like? You know how hard it is to describe it?
Yeah, I mean, you can describe it only at some point.
Yeah.
You cannot really describe, like, the mind aspect of it.
Yeah, at a certain point...
You can say, like, oh, you can see this, or you feel like this, but,
yeah,
you cannot really see it, like, until you actually do it.
Yeah, after a certain point, like, there's only so many words you can come up with to describe something like that, unless you experience it. And something like that, like, it's just so fucking abnormal. Like, how could somebody believe it? So, I mean, who
did someone come up with it?
Yeah, like, who's to say they're fucking crazy? Excuse me, I'm having a little whiskey and Coke. But yeah, fucking that kind of, like, spurred my interest back into the whole UFO shit. I used to be really into it when I was fucking younger. And I mean, there's a lot of unexplained things out there. Yeah, I'm sure the government has a lot of reasons to call things UFOs, but they're like secret projects or whatever the fuck. But there's only a limit to certain bullshit. And I don't know, that's fucking crazy. That's a trip, man. Like, the probability that we're alone in the universe is so unlikely. Like, the numbers, or the chances that we're not alone are higher than the chances that we are alone. Like, that, that alone like makes me want to believe these stories even more. Like scientific fact, like it's mathematics, the fucking language of existence, pretty much. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man. Well, I mean, I was watching some other shit, and like the answers to life are like fucking. Almost they're almost able to be broken down by mathematics. Like fucking a lot of geniuses, I guess you could call them, are like super into like what is it, the Fibonacci number or some shit like that. I don't know if you've ever heard that.
No, I'm not really familiar with that.
But let me look it up real quick. The Fibonacci. Yeah, the Fibonacci code, or ratio, or series, or pattern. But it's or the sequence. But fucking Tool super into it. Maynard. When they did Laterus or whatever the fuck.
Okay.
Yeah, the Fibonacci sequences, like everything in it, like it's basically everything is like divisible by 3 or some shit. Like it's fucking numberology. And okay, so let me look it up. In mathematics, the Fibonacci number, commonly denoted as f to the power of n, form a sequence called the Fibonacci sequence, such that each number is the sum of the 2 preceding ones, starting from 0 and 1. Fuck, I don't even know what the fuck that means. I'm reading it and I don't understand it. I'm not smart enough.
Yeah, it happens with fucking physics and numerology and all that shit.
I'm a simpleton. I'm a simple creature. I'm not even gonna try to get into it and try to sound smart, but yeah. But yeah, apparently like Nikola Tesla, I'm sorry.
Right.
He was obsessed with the number threes, the numbers 3, 6, and 9. And he was working on like this fucking massive effort before he died suddenly. Another kind of unexplained death. He was trying to like figure out how to get basically free energy from the ionosphere.
Okay.
So like basically the Earth.
Unlimited.
Yeah. So yeah, unlimited power that we could potentially tap into. And apparently the Earth is like an electromagnetic engine or a motor or whatever the fuck you want to call it, generator.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know what that means, it's basically a way to create power by putting metal into a force field of magnetism. And I mean, the Earth has the fucking North and South Pole that are fucking magnets. And yeah, like he was fixated on 3, 6, and 9, and for me, I think it's fucking crazy. He's probably my like favorite fucking scientific figure, Nikola Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's crazy that my favorite number is 6. I don't know why. Like it just.
That's crazy.
And I just found that shit out fucking like 2 days ago that he was fixated with 3, 6, 9. So I mean that's crazy shit, dude. But yeah, this is the first time I'm trying to get a call in that's not fucking recorded like shit. So hopefully it sounds good, man. I appreciate you testing this with me.
Nice. I appreciate you having me.
Anytime, if it sounds good, dude. I mean, we can do it more times.
Yeah.
And then when we're done, we can watch each other jack off.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful.
All right. I'm gonna let my boy Hek Ghost go. And let's see how this goes. You want to say goodbye?
Yeah. Stay tuned. Next time might be back. I don't know.
You
unless
probably will.
want to.
Most likely you will.
Beautiful.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right, see ya.
Heck, ghost. So, there's a lot of crazy and fucking horrible things that go on in this world. But something that happened recently stood out like a sore dick. Oh man. Poor choice of words there. I'm sorry. But yeah, a patient since 1992 at the Hacienda Healthcare Facility in Phoenix, Arizona, last month gave birth to her first child. The part that's troubling is that it isn't that she was in the hospital for that long and then spit a baby out. It's the fact that she was in a vegetative state for almost 2 decades. This woman, who has gone nameless due to the shockingly obvious sexual assault victim fact, she was unable to move, unable to communicate, and someone found this helpless victim. Let's be real here. This ain't no #MeToo bullshit. Oh man, they should fucking castrate this motherfucker. Turn him into a eunuch. The fires in hell must burn hot for people like this, figuratively speaking. There has yet to be any proof of such a place, but you get the point. Goddamn fucking predator is the perfect word for the people or the person. Holy fuck. A judge in California is finally on the people's side. Fucking dirty pigs. Ruling that law enforcement cannot force anyone to unlock a phone with a password, fingerprint, iris scan, or even facial unlock without justifiable reasons. It's fucking crazy that someone had to make a stand against this, but he went on to say that technology is so far ahead of the law that it's barely catching up in comparison, and therefore police cannot fucking hold any justifiable ramifications against not unlocking the device. It's crazy to think that that's not a thing already, but hopefully this catches on statewide. So some of you that can't live without streaming services, Netflix is bumping prices again. It's their biggest price increase ever. For every plan, it's literally $2 more. Oh, back in my day, Netflix was $7.99. Shut up, old man. Well, that sucks. I could barely afford it as is. I think I'm gonna end the show off there on a weird note. I want to go ahead and thank my via satellite caller, Hek. I'm sorry, I gotta Hek. Oh, excuse me, it grossed me out. Yeah, so thank you, man, for that little tidbit of conversation we had. I appreciate it. Like I mentioned earlier, you can listen on the Podbean app. You can listen on Spotify, iTunes, the Google Music Play Store, whatever the fuck. YouTube. There's a lot of ways to check this fucking podcast out. But if you could fucking pimp me out on your social media, I don't have any people doing that for me. I refuse to do it because I'm fucking stuck in my ways, but you know what? That's a character flaw that I have to live with. And today I forgot to mention I was drinking a little Canadian Leaf. And it's hitting me a little harder than I want to admit. But yeah, I just want to thank you guys for listening. Much love and rich and rare.